Microphone works.
A 1-drop and a 2-mana card is a 2-drop, and so on and so on. Another
That
thing you'll hear a lot
works.
is mana curve. This refers to the distribution of the mana value of cards in your deck. A deck that plays a lot of cheap
Oh,
cards has a low
forgot
curve, whereas a deck that
one
plays a lot of
thing.
expensive cards has a high curve. This also leads to the phrase of curving out, where you basically play a card which has a mana value equal to the amount of
One
mana
thing
you
I
have.
done
So
what I
a
got to
1-drop on
do.
turn 1, a 2-drop on turn 2, etc., etc.
Ba
ETB
ba
is short for the
ba
card
ba
attacks
ba
enter the
ba ba
battlefield, and when
ba
they
ba
attack so
ba
often that
ba
non-cards
ba
plays
ba
create
ba
additional damage
ba
for it. Haste is a card that's very good is a big damage strategy. For example, Rest in Peace is graveyard hate because it counters graveyard decks. Tapping a land for mana but not spending that mana is called floating mana. This is usually done in response to cards like Rishadan Port, which taps a land. Alright, that's quite a lot, but we still have a few more terms to go over, specifically cards that have effects named after them. Let's start with Lightning Bolt, a card that deals 3 damage to any target. Anytime something deals 3 damage to something, it's usually called bolting it. Similarly, dealing 2 damage is called shocking after the card
I being
called
like
shock.
that guy.
Dealing 1 damage is called pinging it, as there isn't a well-known card to name them after. There aren't any names for dealing other amounts of damage.
Let's play some
Wrath of
magic.
God is a sorcerer that destroys all
Gotta
creatures,
leave
and
for
most
work
creature
in
board
about an
types
hour
will
and a
give
half.
wraths to reference that. Smokestacks is an artifact that costs 4.
Jump
and when
in.
you're
They
upkeep,
must have
you can
changed
put
it up a
soup
bit.
counter on it. And at the beginning of each upkeep, the player sacrifices a permanent for each soup counter on Smokestacks. This is where Stacks gets its name from. Any card that restricts players' access to resources are called Stacks effects. Grizzly
do
Bears
undercover.
is a very famous 2/2 creature for 2 mana, so all 2/2s for 2 mana are called bears as a reference to them. Dragon is
Invaders.
a card that lets you gain control of the creature, untap it, and give
That's
it
not what I
haste, but
wanted
for
to do. I
only
wanted to
one
brew a
turn.
deck.
This effect is very common
Let's
in
see if
Red
we can
and are
brew
usually
something.
called threaten effects.
But I'm planning on
Diablo Edict is a
whatnot,
card which
selling
forces
some
the player to
stuff,
sacrifice a
learning how to
creature,
do
so
that.
cards that
I'm
force
expanding
players to
my
sacrifice
community.
creatures are called edicts. Demonic Tutors
Trying
are
to,
lets you search your
you know,
library for any card
make
and
something
put it
up
into your
my
hand.
shitty
So
little
cards that
self.
search your
Oh,
deck
I
for
had cards
are
on my
called
lap that I
tutors.
done forgot
Pokemon
about.
Aristocrat is a card that lets you
I
sacrifice
was opening a
creatures to give it
pack.
indestructible for a turn,
Oops.
and that deck plays cards like Blood Artist to make this effect even better. This deck
Might
was
as well
pretty
finish with
famous back in
finish it with
Standard,
y'all.
so
We
those
got
decks
that
that want to
guy.
sacrifice their own creatures a lot are called
Highborn
aristocrat decks.
Vampire.
Glorious Anthem is an enchant that gives all your creatures +1/+1, and cards that
Zareth
give a stab boost to all of your
Sand,
creatures
the
are now called
trickster.
anthems. Lord of
Merfolk
Atlantis is a
Road,
merfolk that
rare.
gives all merfolks +1/+1 in Islands Walk, so all creatures that pump creatures of a creature type are called lords. Momentary Blink is a card that exiles a card and then returns
I
it to the
wasn't
battlefield,
expecting
and cards
that.
with this effect are called blink effects.
Now I have two
Rampant
Nahiri
Growth is a card that finds
Planeswalkers.
a land from your deck
That's
and puts it on the battlefield.
badass.
All cards that give you more mana every turn are called ramp effects now, even things like Felware Stone. And finally, Dark Ritual adds 3 black mana to your mana pool for 1 black mana.
I'm gonna give you my number
That's
one
pretty
tip to get over
cool.
a breakup, and that is gonna be going to
Let's
therapy.
get brewing.
Going to therapy helped me so much. It can help for so many other reasons, but this was like a really hard period for me. So going to therapy helped me get
Too rare,
through all
one
of it in a
mythic.
really healthy way. I've been going to therapy for about 6 months or over 6
We're gonna
months.
go
BetterHelp is the world's
for
largest therapy service, and it's 100%
Historic.
online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over
White,
30,000 licensed
red,
and experienced
and
therapists that can help you
green.
with a wide range of issues. It's super simple and
Search.
easy to get started. You just answer a few questions, and in the questions you'll just tell them about your needs and your preferences and therapy, and that way they can match you with the right therapist from their network, which is very important. And then you can talk to your therapist on BetterHelp however you feel the most comfortable, so you can do it over chat, like texting, video chat, or phone call. You can actually message your therapist at any time, and you can schedule the
Do I not have any that are just red, green, and white? Let me
that
see.
if the therapist
Not
that you
collected.
get matched with at first isn't the right fit for you, you can change at any time. With BetterHelp, you get the same
There's
professionalism
really
and
just no.
quality
Oh,
you
I have
expect from
blue.
in-person, in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom
There we
picked
go.
for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at an affordable price. Therapy can benefit everyone and anyone. I absolutely love BetterHelp and always recommend them to everyone.
See what we got here. Target starts our artifact or enchantment. Primal Calamity, and you gain 3 life. Interesting.
Real life RPG application be cool? And so I built one with skill points.
I don't know. I'm looking for something special.
By going back a few days to where it all started.
Deals combat there. We build that many cards from the top of your life. Play a number of dinosaur creature cards from among them out of the battlefield and rest of your bottom. Ever in any order.
I'm learning a language or a framework, or even I'm doing some work. And
My deck
I
was
really
strictly
don't know
dinosaurs. That'd be awesome.
just repeating the same thing over and
But I
over.
need to be able to get other shit than dinosaurs out. That's why I'm putting Italian in this bitch.
And leveling up. So let's see if I can
I'm
finish
looking
it
for a
by
3-color card like this so I can make a good commander deck.
I decided to wake up early and go to the office to get started on this project immediately. Today is Monday, and it's
Make a
actually
good commander deck.
outside. What I want to do is
I just gotta find the perfect commander for the deck I play.
So I'm gonna pull out
My modern deck or standard deck, historic deck, whatever the fuck it is on here. I gotta find me a commander for that. Palladium Moors, the Ruiner.
This is my favorite part of the creative process.
Yes, hexproof because he hasn't done damage.
Pull in all my
That don't
favorite
make sense.
RPGs that I've known over the years, things from Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z and Final Fantasy, and meld them all into a UI that works for developers. I want something that really incentivizes the learning process and
Sister of Nicol Bolas.
people who are trying to see how they're progressing
excuse
through
me.
their career. So here's what I've come up with, and what it basically means is that you have a leveling system that is dependent on each one of your days. You start off with your regular day.
So
that's
weird.
Like a Monday, and you have around 8 hours to use. And for each hour, you're going to get a skill point you can attribute to. Now, the attributes are going to be things like HTML or CSS or JavaScript, and each time you apply them,
Interesting,
you
that could be
get
helpful.
now we know that to become an
Wow, I
expert,
think I found it.
10,000 hours. Now if we chop that up, it's more or less about 100 hours per level if we were to make a level 100 the level gap, where you're pretty much a master. So what I'm thinking is that we might do a little bit of a curve.
Oh, I
where
think
your
I
level is
found it.
10 hours, and each one of those basically progressively increases. So by the time you get to level 99, you need about 200
I didn't even bother looking at the rest. I probably should have. Rith, Liberator, Primeval,
We know that we can actually create it, and we've got some metrics we can measure against. Now,
Brother Dragons,
year of the design. What I want to do next is have a look at
multicolored
Figma,
creatures,
like a real good-looking UI, then putting all together into something
dinosaurs,
Let's do that now. And this is the work
cats and dogs. Still a beautiful card.
On my iPad and then move them across to a Figma design page. So what I'll do is open up Figma here, and I want to pick out a number of different things in the Figma design. Things like colors as well as icons. But while I've done research on my iPad, I'm going to do some more research to have a look at what other RPGs are using for things like their color as well as their progress bar, and try and visualize this into a mobile.
9 more creatures, interesting.
For example, on my iPhone, at any point in time where it's easy to tap on buttons to level up your skills, as well as
Bigfoot Dancer, Shampoo, Lifelink, and Haste.
all at once in terms of a UI and a UX perspective. And we're done.
Rocco
Come up
Street
with a
Chefs.
Nice dark theme style, and I actually personally like this. I think it all stands out quite well. So let's jump into the next day. Yesterday's designing went pretty good. I'm actually quite happy with the results.
Exile cast a spell from Exile.
We've got all the elements you need for an
That's
RPG.
interesting.
So things like the level, the experience, the skill points. I put in different skills like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which I think we'll be able to tap on as you improve on them, and they'll gain to your overall experience. Now,
I would go in Ruins of Vala.
we actually have to make it work, and to do that, we're going to have to implement things like a database and a framework and maybe a library. What I'm thinking is maybe running it up in React, so you can view it on the browser as well as on your phone. And in terms of the database, we're going to use AstraDB. Let's actually have a look at them. AstraDB is a database
Interesting.
one that's built on top of Apache Cassandra. They're entirely free, up to 80 gigs, and you should try them out. I'll add a link in the description below. They were kind enough to sponsor this video, so let's do a deep dive into what they do and how they'll work for this RPG application. If you haven't heard of them,
I think I'm good. I think I found what I
It's a company
wanted.
that specializes in enterprise development of applications. They've worked with big names like Netflix or Priceline or Barracuda, and you might be asking, why use AstraDB? Well, it's not only serverless, but you can avoid difficulties like installation, configuration, and scale. AstraDB takes care of all of that. So realistically, I'm just going to have to click one button and I'll have a database up and running, which is pretty cool. There are no lock-ins, and if you want to get started
Poor
with them, you
Dragon
can use
Spear looks all
Card.
fucked up.
They also plug into pretty much anything, whether using JSON tokens, REST, GraphQL. So what I'm thinking is let's actually start using them right now, and I can show
I
you
had
more
that
how easy it is
version
to
of it in
get
real
into
life,
Dimension
foil
Pro.
etched.
What I'm going to do is plug them into
Alright,
the
cool.
setup that I'm doing by simply creating a database.
And get the
on their
rest. Oh, let me go through
ecosystem.
this
As I
real
mentioned
quick.
earlier, sign up is completely free, even without a credit card. So I clicked try for free, and I went through the prompts.
Forgot about
I've
it.
been through Google or through
Got a
GitHub.
Pinnacle
I'm just gonna
Monk.
Put in my username and password because that's always much
A
easier.
Twisted Riddle
And that's it.
Keeper.
The account is created. Now what I need to do is
Scurry of
Am I
Gremlins.
a JavaScript
Dog
or
Umbra.
Since I'll be doing stuff
Nightshade Dryad.
now now we're into the UI, and this is nice and
Rose
cool.
Cotton Knight.
Here to create a database. So let's do that.
Edit Gargantua.
The database name here to just
Driving Skyclaw.
a providing service to run this on.
Papa piles.
Cloud, or for example,
Guys, you put them in your white pile. So that way I don't get them mixed up and I put the cards in right places and such.
because that's the ecosystem I'm used to. I'm gonna select a region here.
Electrozoa.
And we'll create our database, and that's done. Today I'm thinking of
Refurbished familiar.
We'll probably run up.
I love it.
That's
That's familiar. Refurbished familiar.
Node.js, which might be overkill for this project. I'm thinking of Netlify and
Art card.
serverlessly to connect to AstraDB and pull in.
Oh, isn't that Kozilek?
So let's
Yeah.
do that right
My
now.
art card. I got a Kozilek with Broken Reality art
So,
card.
I
Beautiful.
opened up VS Code and ran create
Beautiful
React
card.
to create a new application for this app. Then I waited for Node modules to install, which I swear used to be faster in the past.
Got me a
So I
foil
decided to take
planes.
some lunch, have a coffee, walk the dog, go for a ride, go to the gym, and eventually
Got a
minutes an hour later,
meteor
with
mace.
React now initialized, we can actually start hacking, which is my favorite part. For the design, I'm gonna have a Figma board open up with my code on the left-hand side.
Oh.
I'm thinking of using some
Oh,
plain
shit.
HTML and CSS, but then I decided to use Tailwind CSS simply because it was doing
Foil,
the same
wither,
thing that I was trying to manually do.
wither and
I
bloom.
also took time and care to make sure
And
that the application would be a mobile-first application, but it was
Ocelot Pride.
so that I could resize
Nice, I needed that.
With that
I want to
all
make a
done,
kitty
I'm gonna
cat deck like I used to have.
and while the code for the HTML
Cat.
front-end
I'm a
is up,
kitty
I don't have
cat.
any functionality.
And I dance,
So
dance,
let's have a
dance,
look
and I
at
dance, dance,
Ruby.js
dance. Cat.
To give
My
you
kitty
guys some
cat.
perspective,
And I dance, 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 and I dance, dance, dance.
and I think it's really cool.
Right?
I'm gonna be jumping into
Are you a
the
cat?
functionality and the
Are you a
database
kitty
next.
cat?
Before I
And do
do
you
it, I'm gonna
dance,
put it
dance,
up
dance, and
here
dance, dance,
and
dance?
share it so that you guys
Don't.
can actually download and
You can
use it
fuck
by
off.
yourself. You can pull requests and add in features.
I don't want no non-dancing kitty
Anyway,
cats.
let's just jump back into it.
All my cats better fucking dance, and if they don't, it's gonna be a fucking problem. Alright, Lily, where are you, goddammit? Get your ass in here and dance. Show them that you're a dancing cat.
Wow, that was actually way harder than I thought it'd be. I had
Giving you
Alright, I forgot there was a commercial
Now,
playing
when
on
you
that
put
other
an
shit.
shot of mana on one turn,
My
what goes right after is
barrel.
called
My
Now
barrel.
let's go over all of the color combination names. All
New.
of the two-color pairs are
They're
named
not
after guilds from
new.
Ravnica. So if
I mean,
you've ever
you
heard
might be
people refer to
new.
the guilds, that's likely what they're talking about. Let's start with the ally two-colored pairs. Ally colors are
Interesting.
always next to each other in the color wheel, and in terms of color pie philosophy, they have a lot in common. If you want to know more about the color pie philosophy, you should check out our video on the subject where I go over it all in more detail. First is white-blue, named Azorius. Blue-black is named Demir. Black-red is named Rakdos, which is also the name of the demon that runs the guild. Red-green is called Gruul, and finally green-white is called Celestia. Continue on to the enemy color guilds, we have white-black, called Orzhov. Next is black-green, called Golgari. Green-blue is called Simic. Blue-red is called Izet. And finally, red-white is called Boros. That covers all of the two-color pairs, so next is the three-color combinations, all of which have a name. We'll start with the shards, which gets their names from the Shards of Alara, where all the names come from. The shards consist of one color and both of its ally colors. For example, white's ally colors are green and blue, so together, green, white, blue form a shard. This specific shard is called Bant. Moving on to the others, we have blue and its allies, or white, blue, black, called Esper. Next is black and its allies, blue, black, red, called Grixis. Then there's red and its allies, black, red, green, called Jund. Finally, there's green and its allies, red, green, white, called Naya. Moving away from the shards, we have wedges. These are three-color combinations named after Khans from the Khans of Tarkir, and they consist of one color and its two enemy colors. For example, white's enemy colors are red and black, so they all form a wedge called Mardu. They're called wedges because if you draw a line between all three of them in the color pie, the lines form a wedge. Getting to the other wedges, blue has green and red as enemies, so green, blue, red form a wedge called Temur. Black has white and green as its enemies, so white, black, green forms a wedge called Abzan. Red has white and blue as enemies, so blue, red, white forms a wedge called Jeskai. Finally, green has black and blue as enemies, so black, green, blue forms a wedge called Sultai. Outside of that, there aren't really any other names or other color combinations. Four-color decks are so uncommon that names for them never really stuck. People usually just refer to them as something like whiteless, for a deck with everything but white. Or, if they're playing a deck that's only lightly playing one color, they may refer to them with a shard or wedge name with an additional color. For example, back in Standard, Jeskai decks were splashing black to be able to play a card called Kolaghan's Command. These decks are usually called Jeskai Black, to denote that they were mainly a Jeskai deck that was lightly playing black. While we're on this subject, we should mention there's actually a term for this. If you're playing a deck that's mostly one color, but you play another color to play one or two other cards, you're splashing that color, as in this is a red deck with a splash of blue, or something like that. Now, there's a lot more we didn't go over, but
Oh,
we
I
have to
said
call
Bull
it
Wrath.
something.
Is that what I
If there are
wanted?
any other common terms that we didn't mention, or if you have any ideas for future videos just
And
like
a
this
brain
one,
fart.
let us know down in the comments.
As the Jinx aired, I thought Bob was gonna run.
I didn't set out to be his friend. What do you do when your best friend kills your other best friend?
Is he banned? There we go.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I just won $60,000 for my car crash from this app from my
Ah, come
I don't know
on.
if you can see it, but it's called Case Connect Compensation Calculator. It's for $60,000 and I'm about to go cash it in.
Yeah, no. Get out of
If
here.
you don't know what Case Connect is, it is one of the largest settlement payment companies in the world. They developed this app and they have over 140,000 people get paid huge checks after their car accident. The app asks you forcible questions, then compares your car accident to millions of other accidents. Then it can tell you instantly if you qualify for a huge check, like the one I got here. The first time I learned about this was 3 years ago from Angelo. So Angelo was in a bad car accident, lost his car and everything, and the insurance companies weren't trying to give him a cent. Angelo shared this video that went viral of him using the Case Connect app and getting a total of $120,000 check from his car accident in only 3 months. Unfortunately, I was in a car accident. I was stopped at a red light and some distracted car driver crashed into the back of my car. I hurt my back, totaled my car, and on top of it, I lost my job since I had no way to get to work. But luckily, I saw Angelo's video.
But luckily, there's a skip button. By some haunted house shit.
Getting ready to investigate what is said to be one of the most haunted houses in Kentucky.
You'll hear disembodied voices, you'll see shadows. I was just like pushed, and once I got downstairs, I realized that there was scratches on my back.
Huh.
Here.
Could it be that something scratched me?
Is somebody upstairs walking?
Those purple light. Whoa, tripwire just went off. Oh my god. What the did we just hear?
What the
The hell was that?
Who's there?
Do I not have this card?
Something's happening over here.
Did you open that door?
Is it open?
Yeah.
We just caught a door opening on camera. Let's leave these cameras alone. In one of the most haunted houses in Kentucky.
Oops. Not a dignet, a signet.
We're out in this really rural area near Manchester, Kentucky, and we're getting ready to investigate what is said to be one of the most haunted houses in Kentucky. This place has a lot of mystery surrounding it. The family that actually lived here was very secretive. Supposedly, this was at one time a doctor's practice, as well as they would actually build and manufacture coffins, and it's said that there's stories there might even have been funerals performed inside this house. And there's been a number of paranormal activity inside the house, including people reporting that they've been attacked inside this house by some unseen force. And tonight we're going to be spending the night in here to see what we can capture and to see what paranormal activity will show itself to us. Now, Dave is taking a little break from investigating, so he is not going to be joining me on this investigation, but I'm going to be joined by the wonderful and lovely Miranda.
Yeah, guys, we are out here in the middle of nowhere. It is very rural. There's no town nearby us, no cell service, so...
But here we go. You know, she might have him crazy damage. Oh, here we go. Speaking of the other newbie, let's do it. Let's do it. We get a Baron. Love you, Baron. Who do we have? Arrogance!
Perfect for that. Now I need some spells.
Welcome to the squad. Wait, Arrogance doesn't have any animations? Welcome to the squad, man. We are getting all the fighters today, ladies and gentlemen. Arrogance. Now, this is a dude who's pretty dang good. I think I ranked him number 2 in my top 10 fighters video. He's got the burning on his target, on his talent. He's got more burning on all enemies on his Hellfire ultimate. On his passive number 1 for every enemy killed while in Berserker stance. Receives a 1 attack speed bonus from the talent. And when the stance ends, he's dealing AoE damage, 10 adjacent enemies. Demon Bow Boomerang, 15% chance to attack 2 targets. He's a fighter who can also attack air. What more do you want? Arrogance, welcome to the team! Download Watcher of Realms for free now.
Get software keys on G2A.com. From operating systems and security solutions to creative apps and more, everything you need for your devices at home and office. Check out the offer now.
Very remote. Whenever we first pulled up to the house, I thought it looked very creepy, but in a very beautiful old sort of way. So in the sunlight, it's gorgeous. I can't wait to see how it looks at the nighttime though, because I have a feeling it's going to be very creepy.
The first thing I thought when I pulled up to this house was, how creepy is this place? I mean, it is just so eerie. Just from the outside, I mean, it's old. It dates back 150 years. They say the 1840s is when this house was actually constructed. And the history that this place holds is said to have turned itself and manifested into paranormal activity, ghosts, spirits, or something else. There's something strange going on inside this house to the point that actual paranormal investigators, seasoned paranormal investigators, have said that they would not spend the night inside this house.
I know Ryan was looking up the history before we came and was talking a little bit to the people who work here. I kind of wanted to go in blind though, just to see what I felt whenever I first came here. So I know that we're going to be getting the history here soon, so I am excited to learn it, but we did get a chance to walk around a little bit, and yeah, I got some creepy vibes, and I'm excited
to see what ghosts or paranormal activity wait for us inside the Chestnut House. So make sure you hit that like button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. This is going to get creepy. Let's head inside.
So I was outside.
All right, let's see what I can do with this.
And
Just hastily tossed it together.
Really blurry. I was taking a picture of outside the house lit up before we ever started working on it really well.
See what happens.
I captured this in the yard.
Does anybody think I can win?
Wow, hold on. Let me turn up my brightness on this so I can get a good.
Well, I brought the photo up.
If you think I can win, let me know.
And I can show you that.
'Cause I have no clue if I can win or not.
Well, this is what we.
We'll find out.
Oh, wow.
That's one of the chestnuts, I think. And what she was wearing, that's what they wore back in the day.
She's wearing a dress, yeah.
Like these.
Yeah, exactly like
Keep it.
that. Exactly like that photo.
That's the
right
family there, the Chestnuts.
Wow.
The second generation. Samuel
Ah.
Chestnut.
Oh, I forgot to put some special lands in. Forgot to change out lands.
They had a lot of and Sarah, Edward, Sarah, Susan, I think it was Lottie. Their names are in here. There's a ton. They had a lot of kids. But they lived here for generations and generations. Like
Playing a goblin deck?
Because they didn't have hospitals around then too. A lot of kids were born here. A lot of kids died here.
Interesting.
Go up here to the family cemetery. There's a lot of babies buried. Some a day old, some a week old, a year old. Bob, supposedly.
I'll take a dab. Battle damage dab time.
patented a site for a...
I had to take a dab every time I took damage. I'd be fucking obliterated.
Out in the military, he was so mean, his family wouldn't even let him stay in the maintenance. He'd stay in the cabin. Wow. So he left and went out west. He tore me so we went out west. Everywhere he went, he named David Valley after Chestnut Valley. It reminded him of home. So he met an Indian maiden, which he has 2 sons with. He brought them back here for a while, and after a while, his family sent them back out.
Got a candlestick.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of strife in the family, a lot of turmoil.
Bob was a bad guy. His brother Isaac.
I'll take it.
They were opposites. I guess Bob was black sheep. He was in 80-some battles. He supposedly murdered a neighbor once, but they couldn't prove it, so he was never charged. They supposedly shot him up back there.
I heard about Brandy first when I was in 7th grade. The reason I liked it, because everyone else liked it.
Brandy Melville tapped into the worst impulses of being a teenage girl.
Finally, someone's talking about it.
Make furniture, caskets. Got a casket in the house. A layout in the casket room. But it wasn't a funeral home. People always ask me, we said, there are rumors that it was a brothel at one time. I can't find any documentation proving that. There probably would be.
So the caskets, the family was actually
Family made them.
They made the caskets.
Yeah, and if you bought one, they would let you have it right out here. Get everybody drunk.
So it wasn't a funeral home, but they had...
We had a funeral home here in 1937. Before that, everyone had the layouts at home.
Wow.
And at that time, everybody lived in a one-room shack with a dirt
Come on,
floor.
scary show. Get scary.
These 4 rooms they were one of the 3 most prominent families.
Who knows? It's all crazy shit.
They
Hitties.
had slaves, I'm pretty sure. But at one time, they sold the house to a Dr. Morgan who lived here with his wife and maid.
That wasn't nice. No, it wasn't. Wasn't very fucking nice at all.
Had to live in that. He was never allowed in my house.
So when the Chestnut family built the house, how long was it that it was here? When was the house built?
They started in the late 1830s, 1840.
I take it.
That was a generation. I mean, all the things carved in the woodwork would have taken forever. They didn't have tools like we did. They were using like a chisel and hammer or something back then. I'd say they worked on it for generations.
For sure, yeah.
They put their blood, sweat, tears, heart, and soul into this place, and the soul stayed. But Frederick Murtaugh put all the money into renovating it, and was killed in his factory before the renovation was done. His wife still lived here. She lived here when the renovation. But she had cancer and died in this bedroom. No one's lived in the house since then. For 50-some years, it's still here empty. It's always had electricity. You hear wild stories. People, I live near here, and people tell me.
Alright. I don't know if I'm gonna win this one.
Nobody lived here.
Be pulling some fucking. Pulling a rabbit out my asshole if I win this.
I can't find the exact date. I want to say 70s, 80s. Late 70s, 80s, maybe.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's been a long time since anyone has ever lived in here.
Yeah, as long as I've been living around here, but it's always had electricity.
Huh.
I guess to keep the vandals away, maybe. And the house has been broken into a lot, vandalized. It was in much worse shape than the current owner. He bought it from Lisa Pollard, who was Cecilia Titus.
I won! He didn't even block.
Another spirit woke her up in the middle of the night and said, send her things back. So she called.
He blocked, he still might have had a chance.
Rented a truck and loaded everything up. He brought it back here.
Might have had a chance, but he didn't want to dance. And if he didn't want to dance, he ain't no friend of mine.
Like somebody
So yeah, and he kind of told us that story, but I didn't realize when he told us that story that it was her spirit. He said the way he said it was that she woke her up in the middle of the night, and when I heard
She was
that
already dead. She died in his bedroom. Lisa said her mom's spirit woke her up in the middle of the night and said, "Send my things back to the house."
A year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, the lady I bought the house from, the lady upstairs who passed away, she woke her mother up in the middle of the night, and she told her to give me everything she's got.
Let's do it again. Let's do it again. I can do it. I can do it. We can all do it. All do stuff together. Stuff like that. Let's all have some fun playing some magic. Yeah. Yeah.
And stuff that are in here came from her.
You'll hear disembodied voices, there's some shadows.
Yeah.
Since we've been with Paranormal Connections, more and more people come to the house, and the more people come, the more active the house has been. I went to the bathroom the other night. I was the only person in the house. I went to the bathroom. You hear someone walk up to the bathroom door real loud, like.
Is anybody else wondering why she's got a fucking dog collar on?
You never hear them walk away.
Maybe the weird noises people hear coming from the house is her and her strange activities at night. You never know. Oh, it is an instant. Interesting. No.
Jason Humbler was here, and he's from Canada, and he came down. He was coming down to Plain County, Kentucky, to look for Bigfoot and Dogman. So he was obsessed with his door. So he would close the door, and he would ask the spirits to open the door. And he spent like an hour and a half at this door. And the footage is amazing, but you know he was obsessed. He was obsessed with this door. He could tell that this was at night, late at night. He could tell that he'd shut the door. He'd shut the door, and the spirits would pop it open. So but it was a little weird.
The teen is real sensitive to it. They want
Uh-huh.
sensitive. Things tend to.
She was
latch
attacked
onto
as a
him.
child.
Yeah, I was attacked as a child.
Interesting.
What happened to her happened to me. I've never walked to a haunted house ever, I don't think. She's brave.
I think I have that card IRL. Not that version.
Hey, you said you.
I think I have the original.
Where did that happen?
The first time it ever happened was in the attic.
Oh, pass. My bad. Sorry.
So tell us about what happened that night that you were scratched up here.
There was a camera guy standing right here and another guy here. I was standing over here, like this. It was, all the lights were out. The only light we had was the camera light. I was just like, whooshed right into.
Come on, guy. Don't let me
camera
discard or throw anything into the graveyard. You don't even want
So I
to.
was pushed into him. And once I got downstairs, I realized that there was scratches on my back.
No, you don't want
I
to do
always
it.
feel like it came from that direction.
Don't do it. You don't want to make me mail or discard because that's not nice. You.
And it's really heavy.
Oh,
up here.
okay. It's another Frank Sanity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Save for one more
The
turn.
little boy, though, he stayed in the attic. This is the old part of the house over here. This is the newer part.
Probably setting my shit up to get milled in one fucking go.
Constantly on a little cot. I don't too much feel that he's up here a lot, but I do feel a male figure up here. The male figure he's really mean. I don't feel that he's bad or evil. I just feel that he's just like a really mean
This
person.
is where the psychic star says that the portal is.
But like I said, I don't really feel good up here.
Yeah.
A lot, and right now I am like
Anything goes in my graveyard, I'm fucked. Something dies, I just. Oh man. That's a
Really
fat ass
interesting
card.
A lot of history, a lot of claims of paranormal activity. Are you ready to get started?
Oh, I am ready. I am so excited.
So with the sun getting ready to go down, we're gonna have the night, this house to ourselves to see what we can capture inside.
I am
the
fucked.
Chestnut House.
He's gonna make me discard my deck. Son of a bitch. All my good shit's in the graveyard. In fact, it's not even in the graveyard. The shit's exiled.
All right, Miranda. We have officially started the investigation, but we have seen people commenting and saying, I wish abandonment was back at the beginning of the investigation. And you know what? Tonight, we are granting your request. We are starting the night off with an abandonment session. We have 3 cameras throughout the Chestnut House. One of them here in the casket room where they actually used to have some funerals for people that, you know, didn't want to have it in their own home. This is where they would buy the caskets from. They said they would even lay out and do a wake here in this room. So we also have a camera on the 2nd floor. There's a lot of paranormal activity throughout those rooms. The rooms where
come on, let's do it.
The stairs that lead up to the attic where there's a lot of very interesting activity, and that is wired with equipment.
I can't believe I get another win. I'll shit myself.
Another camera set up. That's the area where multiple people have had strange and unusual encounters, including being pushed, scratched, and it's pretty creepy up there. So we have a camera there with an audio recorder rolling, and that audio recorder, this experiment, that recorder is voice activated. So if it
didn't go to my graveyard.
we're gone. Could be paranormal. So we'll see what happens. Let's leave this house empty. See what these cameras pick up. Let's leave these cameras
Come on,
alone.
Natali.
One of the most
You
haunted
play a
houses.
land already? Probably not. If you were smart, you would have played. Oh, no. Shit. Wait, I'll wait till I draw.
I think I felt the floor
They'll get 1 mil out of this
right.
crap. That's
Let's
it.
get out of here.
We'll get 1 mil combo out of him. I'm not letting you fucking play a bunch of lands. Fuck you and your rune crap, you son of a bitch. Drown? Are you kidding me? You're a fucking asshole.
He locked me out.
Gonna be nice and cool here. Let's get this air conditioning.
Hey, get out of there with the cords, you fucking
I tell you
bitch!
guys,
What the fuck is wrong with
there's
you?
one thing I hate.
Retard!
There's one thing I hate about summer investigations is the heat. I just can't.
Why do I put hot sauce on my cat? I want to put hot sauce on my wires?
Let's hope those cameras inside are picking up something.
I know, but then they'll be covered in hot sauce!
We'll check back in.
No! I'll try that. I got some lemon like furniture polish shit. It smells like lemon. I'll use that.
Enemy submarine spotted.
No more cards. I need, son of a bitch. And again. Oh, you motherfucker! You prick.
Enemy heavily damaged.
That's a good mill deck. That was a good mill deck. That was a damn good mill deck. I want to check some. Where's the computer binder? Bye.
Enemy battleship foundered.
Oh, it was on the bottom of the deck. Do I have a fraying sanity? Oh, I done did. Guess I don't. Thought I did. You guys sold it. No, I got fraying sanity. I have that card. I think I had the original print though, maybe. I don't know if it was originally put in Amonkhet, but I got the Amonkhet printing. knew I had me a Frey instead of her. I had a fucking no PH deck. Watching some World of Warships commercials. Want to catch up. Why not? For anybody that doesn't know, I'll play this.
Bob's gonna run.
I didn't set out to be his friend. What do you do when your best friend kills your other best friend?
Huh? What do you do when your best friend kills the other best friend?
Magic has a ton of different ways you can play it. These formats each have their own card pools and occasionally their own rules for deck construction. So to help newer players with the way around the game, we're going to go over each of these formats, and how you can play them, and the pros and cons of each format, starting with the weakest formats and going to the strongest. Starting off with the weakest of all Magic formats, we have Limited, which is split into two different formats, Draft and Sealed. Limited is a format that's played by opening packs of Magic sets, as nearly every Magic set is designed to enable limited play, at an event and building decks out of what you open and playing with the deck for the rest of the event. This is different from other formats called constructed formats, where you build your deck before the event and have full control over what cards you get. The difference between Draft and Sealed is how the cards are divided up amongst the players. In a sealed event, each player is given a number of draft packs, 6, and they open those packs and build a 40-card deck with the cards they open, as well as with a number of basic lands, which should be provided by whoever is running the event. Because sealed, like all other limited formats, are so restrictive as to what cards you can play, there are special deck construction rules. As mentioned before, you only need 40 cards in your deck, but there also isn't a playset rule. So if you open 5 Typhoid Rats, you can play all 5 Typhoid Rats in your deck. Also, every card you open that you don't play is considered a part of your sideboard. So if you're playing a best 2 or 3 after the first game, you can take any number of cards out of your deck and replace them with any of the cards you open, as long as you still have at least 40 cards in your deck afterwards. The other type of limited format is Draft. As opposed to Sealed, where you're given a number of packs and open them all by yourself, instead, a pod of between 6 to 8 players sit around a table and each open one pack, take one card from it, and then pass all the cards to the players on the left. They repeat this until all the cards in the pack are gone, and they open the next pack and do the same thing. Once all the packs have been drafted, you build a deck out of the same deck building rules will still apply, so any number of basics, no play sets, and 40-card decks. Draft is generally more popular than Sealed for a few reasons. First off, it usually has a higher power level, as the process of drafting means that people will usually end up with a lot more cards that they can actually play in their deck. When you open a sealed pool, your pools will usually be evenly split amongst all 5 colors. Since you'll probably only be playing 2 colors, about 3/5 of all your pools won't be usable. In a draft, however, even though your opening happens with cards, you'll be drafting way more playable cards, so your deck will be better overall. It's also more skill testing, as the process of drafting uses a skill that players have spent years
There we
getting
go.
better at. So, what are the pros and cons of Sealed and Draft? Some of the pros are that it's generally pretty cheap to buy. Buying the packs needed to draft is usually around $12, and 6 packs for Sealed is usually just $24, which really isn't that much compared to the cost of a full deck. And since every set is basically a whole new limited format, there's constantly new and interesting things
How
to
long
learn.
ago was this
Watching
made?
out those
Those are not
cards
accurate
normally
prices
would
at
play
all.
key parts of the limited environments. Limited is the place where commons and uncommons really shine. Additionally, every set also has its one mechanic specific to the set, and sometimes these cards don't transfer over to constructed formats where the power level is too high for them to compete. Limited is a great place to play with mechanics like Party or Dungeons, which didn't end up making a splash in Standard. The formats are also relatively low power level, which is either a pro or a con depending on what kind of gameplay you prefer. Some of the cons are the fact that you do have to buy new cards just about every time you try to play Limited, as you do need packs to open. So it's not like Constructed where you just buy a deck and you can
So
play
you got your thing back.
You also need other people who are willing to draft with you, which can be harder than finding someone who just wants a deck built. Not to mention that you also take time. Where can you play Draft and Sealed? You can play them at your local game store, on Magic Arena, or on Magic the Gathering Online. Moving on to the constructed formats, we're going to start off with Standard. Standard is, as the name implies, the standard Magic format, and what the majority of the releases are tailored to. Standard is Magic's only rotating format.
I'll take it.
That every year, Wizards will release 4 standard sets. Standard will always have 5 different sets in it, and when the would-be 9th set's release, the oldest 4 sets rotate out. So you're playing with the last 2-ish years of cards released. Standard is played with the typical deck building rules. Play sets of 4 for arrows, lands, 60-card deck, and 15-card sideboards. What are the pros of Standard? Standard is the primary format Wizards designs cards for, so it's usually more balanced than a lot of the other formats. It being a rotating format helps keep things interesting. New decks are always coming out. Older, annoying decks that you've gotten tired of will rotate out eventually. It also is a very creature-based format, where combo decks are rare, so if that's the kind of Magic you want to play, it's the best format for that. It's also the second cheapest format. All the cards have been printed recently, so there's ample supply for them.
Why'd you do that, buddy?
Cons of Standard?
That ain't very
Rotation
nice.
means you'll have to buy a new deck every couple of years, at least. It can also have a bit of a turbulent meta, as having such a small card pool can lead to their not
Come on,
being
we got
answers for
this.
threats or strategies. Where can you play Standard? At local game stores, on Magic Arena, and on Magic the Gathering Online. Next up, we'll be doing the Arena formats, or formats that are mainly played on Magic
The
Arena.
deck is so
First up
big,
is
it's
Alchemy.
ridiculous.
Alchemy is basically Standard, but with some special Arena cards that do things that you can't do in paper, like permanently changing the stats of a card, even if it gets shuffled into the library or something, and balance patches instead of the ban list. These new cards are released as special versions of sets a little after the release. What are the pros of Alchemy? Due to there not being a ban list, you don't have to worry about your deck being banned out from underneath you. Even if they do get nerfed, they'll still be somewhat playable. It also has the same upsides and downsides of being a rotating format as Standard. What are the cons of Alchemy? Well, if your deck gets nerfed and the deck is bad enough to not be able to see play anymore, you won't get your wild cards back, unlike with the banning. Now, we're trying to be objective here, but it is worth mentioning that the community generally doesn't like Alchemy very much, so there will be less resources available if you try to build a deck or look for metagame data. Where can you play Alchemy? You can play Alchemy only on Magic Arena. The next format is Historic. Historic is a format that uses standard deck construction rules that consist of every card that's on Magic Arena, besides the banned cards, of course. This includes every card in Standard that has gone through Standard, and some other cards that Wizards has added through Historic anthologies and remaster sets, as well as the digital-only cards. What are some of the pros of Historic? There's no rotation, so your deck will never rotate out. You can also use all your old cards that aren't in Standard anymore. If you happen to really like a deck while it's in Standard, you can play it in Historic after it rotates, but they'll
I don't see why people build such big ass decks like that.
What are some of the cons of Historic? Historic isn't what
I'm actually
Wizards
trying to
has
play real
on
Magic.
print sets, so you'll get cards that are far too good for the format, but not great at Standard, or sets with nothing strong enough for the format.
I'm sorry, that deck is not legal.
Format, so I'll quickly mention it a few more times in the video. The higher power level means that weaker decks have an even harder time competing, though this will be true of all higher power level formats. The higher power level means that decks can also be harder to get the cards for, as they're more likely to be higher rarity. Where can you play Historic? Historic is exclusive to Magic Arena. The next format is Explorer. Explorer is basically just Historic, but without the digital exclusive cards. It uses standard deck construction rules and includes every card in Arena. So in summary, Standard is a rotating format without digital cards. Alchemy is Standard with digital cards, Explorer is non-rotating format without digital cards, and Historic is a non-rotating format with digital cards. What are the pros of Explorer? Similar to the pros of Historic, so your deck won't rotate out, and you can play with all of your old cards. What are the cons of Explorer? Again, the format is similar to Historic, so it has the same issues where weaker decks not being able to compete as easily, and decks sometimes being harder to get the cards for, as well as Wizards not balancing the standard sets around a format. Where can you play Explorer? Explorer is also exclusive to Magic Arena. The final Arena format is Historic Brawl. This is a format that has unique deck building rules, like the rest of the constructed formats we mentioned so far. In Historic Brawl, you can only
Come
play
on.
one copy of each card besides basic lands, so it's what's called a singleton format. You also have a 99 card deck as opposed to a 60 card deck.
I think I'm gonna
and
win
play
this
as
one. I got
25
decent
cards as
hands.
opposed to 20. You also get to choose one legendary creature or planeswalker as what's usually called
Get
a
on
commander,
out there, buddy.
named after the commander format, which we'll talk about a little later. This commander starts outside your deck in the command zone, and you can cast it from the command zone.
I should be able to get the rest of my hand out next turn, depending on what I
zone to play it again, but you have to pay 2 extra mana to play it again. Additionally, you can only play cards that are of the same color identity as your commander. Color identity is basically the color of a card plus all the colors and mana symbols that appear in the card's text.
Interesting.
So a card like Yoda, Archmage Eternal, is a blue,
Oh,
white, and
shit.
red card, but has a color identity of
Oh,
5 colors
shit.
because there are all 5 mana symbols in its text. And as the name implies, the format has the same card pool as Historic, so any card in Arena can be played in Historic Brawl. Though both formats have their own ban list, and there are different cards in the 2 ban lists. What are the pros of Historic Brawl? Brawl is a more casual format, and the higher life total and less consistent decks allows more expensive cards to be viable without making the format extremely weak. It also lets you build around any legendary creature or planeswalker you want, which leads to a very different deck building process. You can play cards specifically because it's synergized with your commander, whereas in other formats you wouldn't know that you'd have access to that card. This means people build decks by synergizing with a certain theme, rather than just playing all the best cards they have access to.
Should
For
be able to
example,
get
if you play a
Italia out
legendary
next
creature
turn.
Like Falcospar or Pact Weaver as your commander, you'll be playing lots of cards that synergize with counters to make the most of his ability. What are the
Come
cons
on,
of Historic
come
Brawl?
on.
Games of Historic Brawl are often very grindy and long due to their higher life
I like
total,
that, it's a pretty
which can be
forest.
negative. It's also a less competitive format, so there aren't big competitive events for the format if you're looking for that. Where can you play Historic Brawl? Historic Brawl is
Interesting.
exclusive
That's
to Magic
beautiful.
Arena. Now that we're done with the arena formats, we're moving on to
Island
Pioneer.
fucking
Pioneer is an
Godzilla.
eternal format
That's
that includes
awesome.
every card that's been in standard,
Zo.
starting with Return to Ravnica, Premier from 2012,
Peace.
and including all of the standard cards since then. It uses the normal deck building rules: 60 card deck, play set of 4 cards, and a 15 card sideboard.
Turn, my turn.
That non-standard set releases, like Commander, Legends, do not go into Pioneer. What are some pros of Pioneer? Pioneer is basically the Historic Explorer for paper and Magic Online. It has the upsides of rotating in a higher power
I'll
level,
take
as
it.
well as getting to use your favorite old standard cards. What are some of the cons of Pioneer? It is usually a bit pricier than standard to buy into,
What does
because
this
all the
do?
cards are older and often are played in other formats, meaning they're both less supply and a higher demand, driving up prices. And like other non-rotating formats, Wizard isn't designing around Pioneer. Where can you play Pioneer? You can play Pioneer at your local game store and on Magic Online. Next, we have Pauper. Pauper is a non-rotating format with the normal deck construction rules, but instead of including every card in a set rotating from 1 point forward, it includes every common card in every set. It also includes side sets, unlike formats like Pioneer and Modern, which only include standard sets. What are the pros of Pauper? Pauper is by far the cheapest constructed format. It also doesn't have a rotation, so after you build a deck, you won't ever have to get a new one. This makes it an even cheaper format. What are the cons of Pauper? Only having commons means that some effects are missing.
Why did you do
It doesn't mean the format
that?
is necessarily weak, as more
It's
than
not
enough strong
fair.
commons exist for it to be around
I
the
wanted
same
to kill
power level as
him.
Pioneer. It just means that
I don't
some
want to
splashy
hurt you,
effects,
buddy. I
like
just want to
extra
kill
turn
you.
spells, don't exist in the format at all. It's also not the most
I
popular.
promise, you
have a
won't
little
feel a
bit of trouble
thing.
finding
Maybe.
games. Where can you play Pauper? You
I
can
don't know.
play
I've never
Pauper
been
at your
killed
local
before.
game
How would
store
I
and
know?
Magic Online. The next format
Jet.
is Modern. Modern is a non-rotating
It
format
is
that
what
uses
it
standard deck
is.
construction rules and includes all the cards that have gone through standard, starting with
I got
the edition printed in
25
2003,
minutes before I
as
gotta
well
get
as the
off
cards
and
printed
go to
in
work.
Horizon sets. Remember, the only side sets that are included in Modern are Modern Horizon cards. Things like Commander Legends do not go into Modern. What are the pros of Modern? Modern has both a very
think it was
high
gonna
power
start
level
that bad,
and
yeah.
a very diverse metagame, especially when compared to formats like Standard. It also has
I
combo
don't
strategies
have any
with
creed.
very
Go
good
fucking figure.
it also
No
has a
green.
very diverse metagame with aggro, combo, mid-range, and control decks all having their own niches. If you want a format where mono red burn can compete with some of the wildest combos in the game, Modern
Alright.
is What are some of the cons of Modern?
Maybe RNG
Modern
is on my
very
side. Maybe I
expensive
needed
because
that
the cards
instead
that
of
you
burn
play are
instead of the green.
My internet, my rules. Introducing My Home from Verizon.
Who knows?
It's
Maybe I
internet and
need that
entertainment
back
made
more.
simple. Choose what you need, change when you want, and save on
We'll
entertainment
find
you love,
out, won't
like
we?
Netflix and Max for $10 a month. Only on Verizon.
Oh. Resolve! Nice!
If y'all
Turn!
really got Arcade, y'all better get Arcade. Arcade has the best samples in the game.
Every time my fucking AC goes on, my room's like a strobe light.
Before I had output Arcade,
I'll attack.
looking for the right sample. Now
I attacked you, yeah!
and allows the momentum to go and the song to get finished, which is the most important thing.
The sampler on its own is super powerful, deep, and intuitive, which I really appreciate. But then you couple that with the ever-growing pool of well-produced sounds and custom kits, and you have something truly
I don't know why it's asking if I
special.
want to kill my own
One of the
shit.
best parts about Arcade is the sampler generator. where
You wanna
drag
kill
and
your
drop
own
the
stuff?
sample,
Come on, do it.
creates a custom kit for you to chop, stretch, do whatever you want.
I love Arcade almost as much as my own mother. I use it honestly every day. It's in my template when I open up Ableton. For me, it eliminates writer's block.
I love using Arcade to
Man, I
start
need
a track and
to
get
breathe.
inspiration, or to end a track and to find all of the special little earworm things that make a track magic.
Try it for free.
Some bullshit.
Plug in
Longer than in formats like Pioneer.
Oh,
There
no,
are
I'll
less
kill it.
viable cards, the cards are older, and more people need these specific cards, meaning there's even lower supply of the cards and an even higher demand. Where can you play Modern? You can play Modern at your local game store and on Magic Online.
Come
The
on.
next format is Commander. Commander is what Historic Brawl is standing in for on Arena. You have a 99 card deck with only one copy of each card besides basic lands, and a commander, which is specifically a legendary creature, not a planeswalker like in Historic Brawl. And all your cards have to be within the creature's color identity. Players also start with 40 life instead of 20. Commander is also one of the only multiplayer focused formats, usually played in pots of 4, but you can play
Oh,
with other
fucking
players.
finally.
What are the pros of Commander? Commander
First
is
I'm
a
gonna do
global
that.
format, so you don't have to build new decks if you don't want to. You also get to build your deck around a legendary creature, which opens up different deck building options.
Get rid of that,
The
'cause
higher
that's gonna
starting
be a
life total
problem.
Also makes more expensive cards more viable. Commander is also the most popular Magic format, so it's pretty easy to find games. What are the cons of Commander? The format is very casual, so there aren't competitive tournaments. Players can often disagree with the power level the format should be played at, which can lead to lopsided games. On top of that, Commander can be a very unbalanced format at times. Combo decks are far stronger than aggro, mid-range, and control decks, which really compounds the lopsided nature of some
I'll hold
games as
off
one
on
player goes
giving
and
myself
wins and no one else
counters.
has
I'll
to
wait for an
draw cards to
attack.
stop them. Where can you play Commander? You can play Commander at your local game store or on Magic Online. The next format is
Motherfucker.
Legacy. Legacy is a format with standard deck building rules and where every card that has ever been released is legal, except for the banned cards, of course. This includes cards in non-standard sets, such as Commander Legends, or even Commander Precons and the like. What are the pros of Legacy? It's a non-rotating format, and it has the highest power level of any format with a ban list. This makes some of the most complex and interesting games of Magic you can play. There were combo decks that can kill you on turn 1, tons of 0 mana spells, very powerful stack cards, fast mana, just about every class effect ever printed. So while the cards that are playable are more selective, there's a more varied set of strategies that are viable. Other formats simply can't allow these strategies to exist because the tools aren't there to deal with them. For example, FTK, or first turn kill decks, are banned in every format except Legacy and Vintage, because
Why won't
formats
it let
like
me-
Modern don't have 0 mana interactions necessary to keep them in check. What are the cons of Legacy? Legacy is very
Going on
expensive,
here?
far more so than Modern. Lots of important cards in the format are on the reserve list, meaning Wizards can't reprint them.
That was
leaving
fucking
staples
weird.
Hundreds of dollars a copy. Additionally, aggro isn't quite good enough to compete, and it's a bit rare in the format. So if you're a big fan of burn decks, maybe stick to Modern or Pioneer. Where can you play Legacy? Play Legacy at your local game store or on Magic Online. The last format is Vintage. Vintage is Legacy, but instead of a ban list, you have a restricted list where cards are limited to 1 copy instead of ban. What are the pros of Vintage? Vintage is the strongest format of all of Magic, and it's not even close. If you want to see what Magic at its most powerful is like, look no further than Vintage. What are the cons of Vintage? It is ungodly expensive. I know I've said that a lot, but nothing compares to Vintage. Going off of MTG Goldfish, Blue Tinker, the best deck in Vintage right now costs $86,400.
Jesus Christ.
This is several orders of magnitude more expensive than any other format. Where can you play Vintage? You can theoretically
That's
play it at your
insane.
local game store, but realistically you're playing it on MTGO, where
And now he's just randomly popping off
and
with
those are the most
goddamn
important
ancient copper
There are
dragon.
a few other formats as people make up their own from time to time, but most of them don't last very long. So these are the most common ways people play Magic.
You know I'm dead next turn, but whatever. Good game, sir. Good game. Pain in my ass, but good game. Copper Dragon's insane.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Commander Clash. This week, everyone had to build a deck featuring only a single card type and then of course lands, because you gotta cast your spells. Let's see what everyone's running.
Hey, it's her, and I'm playing all sorceries, which either means a lot of removal or a
Just
lot
one.
of... Yeah, you can...
Hi, I'm Richard. I'm playing 100% artifacts.
Why
And of course,
did
you gotta use the
Yeah.
card daddy. I got card legacy reforged as my commander, and all artifact decks are broken, right? So hopefully we do some nutty things.
Yo, this week I'm going all Planeswalkers with Amanatu, the Fate Shifter, at the helm.
I'm Seth and I'm playing a keyword soup all creature Indominus Rex alpha deck that's looking to discard a bunch of janky creatures with keywords to draw a ton of cards with my commander and build an unbeatable dinosaur. This show is brought to you by our sponsors. You can purchase all the accessories we use on the show over at ultimateguard.com, and you can purchase all your cards over at
Sea of Clouds, exile
Leave
another
up
target
mana
permanent
drain.
you own. Plus.
I think this card might actually be busted. I've never played it before, but this
So
card's
we need a farewell, I guess, right?
Farewell would
It's
do it.
hexproof indestructible. Krim can oog in it.
Oh, you're right.
I'm gonna have to
go
mine
crib.
it to draw a card.
No party?
Party.
No,
Party
definitely.
foul.
With you on the
Party
board.
foul.
With you on the board, you are definitely not getting a party.
Oh,
That's for
interesting. I was
sure,
not
I
expecting to
promise.
win
I'm gonna
that,
die
but I
because
have to
that's
get
gonna
going.
Your planeswalkers.
I don't think I got time for another game.
I have a problem with an arcane fucking egg.
Yo, Phil, you want to try
Do
to
this stuff real quick. Open a couple packs on here.
I put it
I am
on
gonna
top
play
of the
Spatial
graveyard, so
Pollinate.
we don't...
Look at all those creature lands there.
I'll draw a card and I'll put one back. I drew a funny card. I don't think I can play it. I just flat out can't play it. I'm just gonna put it back in my deck.
Space Valorant? Where's the Space Valorant? You could put this in Sector 1
and then I don't know what happens.
I only got 51.
It gets in the alpha sector, and then
The alpha
hit
sector.
all the same. So
I mean, it is Indominus Rex Alpha, so I guess that would be the right sector for
you're
it.
right. Yo, was the new Jurassic Park this good? Someone,
Oh my
someone
God.
I haven't watched it. I don't know if it's
Is
worth
it that
watching or not.
the greatest Jurassic Park of all time? This card is insane.
Was it indestructible in the movie too and had hex proof? How did they deal with it?
There's creatures with like 4 or 5 types, right? You just chuck one of them and you draw 5?
Why not?
What? Do you have a flash flame blocker? Oh, you do?
no, I actually
Do a quick rip.
just can't play anything. I think I'm better off just not playing and trying to.
No mythics.
Richard's about
Bring
to
heart.
I mean, I'm
Pseudo.
dropped down the board, right? I
Toxic
think like
deluge.
Card.
Psychic Pride.
Legacy Reforged.
Not really anything
Greatest
good.
value among artifacts I control.
Other than I
35
needed.
plus 5. Beginning of your upkeep, add colorless for each artifact you control. This mana.
Okay, alright. I know I'm gonna get mythics. Boy,
Mana
cool.
Has steps and phases. It can't even.
Already had
I'm just going to pass the turn.
Paging Engine.
And yeah, I mean, it's also what did I expect?
I like that.
A draw. I'm going to pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And a token for anything I want. Not bad.
Open the way for 4. I'm going to reveal cards and
I'm
play.
really
Reveal.
terrified if
I have it.
Oh, does it have double strike though, right?
Oh no, there's
Check
no
real
strike
quick
on
with
that.
this deck.
none of my stuff, none of our stuff. has
Everything's a
double strike,
forest.
That's for sure.
That's oh, that's my tech.
Techie life.
No, but this would draw cards with my commander, the Shire.
Oh, we get to
Don't have it.
here.
Okay, let me see that.
What other
land.
Lotus
And-
cards do they have on here?
Is that a desert?
That's a desert.
That is
so
a
it's
desert.
time for the prime. I'm gonna shoot Seth for 1.
That's fair.
I'm going to play a.
Interesting.
forest. I'm going to play Abundant Harvest. Choose land on or land. Reveal cards from the top of your
Tap
library
and
until you
sacrifice
reveal
that
a card.
creature.
Put
Ooh,
that card
that's
in your
rough.
hand and the rest on the bottom. Another deck tour. I say non-land. It's a hurricane. Oh, that's my weight card.
Oh.
Does Indominus up? Indominus
I
does
honestly think this is the best one that they have on Arena.
Tap
Wow, that
and
actually
draw.
kind of sucks. Well, I mean, it's an indestructible, but
Bane of progress.
Bane of progress. Bane of progress. Does that?
Hmm.
There's no even enchantment player. I feel targeted.
I mean, it is useful though either way.
Water.
+3/+3 with vigilance, but indestructible.
This is untapped. I'm gonna play a
Yeah, I didn't need one.
Ravenous Chupacabra.
In response.
Alright.